And that's the thing nobody wants to hear. They're like, what's the silver bullet? What's the easy button? And it's like, you don't get to bypass this. Like,
in today's highlight episode, it is all about leadership. And one of my favorite things about The Buzz is not only do we hear from our peers and agents, but we hear from sales leaders, district managers, C-suite corp executives, and carriers around leadership, what's working, what they see the best agency owners doing to have success. And that's exactly what this episode is dedicated to. With that being said, let's start the show.
we talked about this before we hit record, and then you alluded to it a little bit. So I want to go there about life insurance, because tomorrow you're having that conversation. And what we were sharing before we hit record was how one of your producers is your primary life insurance producer, and that person is getting ready to get their own agency, and how that mindset shift and the coaching has shifted to get everyone bought in on life insurance. I'm curious on what that conversation looks like, because I know that there are a lot of people listening right now that have one, like, this person is the rock star, and they're hanging on to that of like, okay, what would happen? There's that fear of what would happen if this person left, if they got their own agency. So I would love kind of your process and what you're going to be talking to your team about to get them bought into selling life insurance.
Yeah. For me, the biggest thing was I was looking at like, okay, there goes a big portion of my agency is leaving right now, right? Like, he was the one that was the expert in life outside of the agency owner, obviously, he has a lot of experience selling it, but the thing that really triggered for me was like, who in my staff is going to take that next step? Who's going to be the one that jumps into that role? And like, there's nobody raising their hand or chomping at the bit at that, because life insurance is such a fun conversation for everybody to have. And I love talking about life insurance. So for me, it's an education conversation. So I'm always looking at like what can we do to get you to understand, number one, what we offer, but then two, how do we apply it, right? What's that conversation look like? And so it'll be training sessions. It'll be a lot of, going over like, this is what Farmers offers, and this is what we have, and how do we apply this? But then it's also going to be doing one-on-one role plays with each individual of like, all right, I'm a client now. You call me on the phone. Let's sell it. Let's talk about it. How do you prospect for it? And I'm okay if they don't win the business in that phone call, because like life insurance is one where people are a little bit uncomfortable in the very beginning. But if my staff are not doing the prospecting of following up each week on that, like, then they're leaving money on the table. And that's my biggest proponent thing, is I do pay better on life insurance than I do anything else. I really don't want to go into my specifics on my commission structure there, but essentially if they write a life policy, they get a percentage of the premium or a base pay, whichever's higher. So they're going to essentially be making more per policy just by helping them out. So, and then to your point, it's almost boiling it down to making it very easy to just even bring up in a conversation, because so many people are uncomfortable talking about it. How do I break that barrier? How do I break that uncomfortability? And honestly, the way that I learned, because I like I said, I have a retail background. I come from retail, is selling. I've never sold a product like insurance before this. But for me, it was solely just doing it. I had to literally have multiple conversations with people to talk to them about life insurance, have that uncomfortable feeling. And then I learned, like I said, the hard way, like, I wouldn't say that again. I'd say something different. So I'm trying to prevent them from having that uncomfortable feeling, because I've had it enough myself, but sometimes they have to have it to learn. So.
Oh yeah. I think, and that's the thing nobody wants to hear. They're like, what's the silver bullet? What's the easy button? And it's like, you don't get to bypass this. Like,
No.
It's just reps. It's just getting more comfortable with the conversation. I love that you bring that up. I want to circle back to, in the beginning, you said sell faster as the agent would be one of your tips that you would give. So when you're looking at life insurance, I'm curious, what expectations do you have on yourself as the agent to produce life insurance?
As the agent in the agency, if I'm not, so you have to hit my marker, I have to write 8 to 9 policies a month. That's issued and paid. So like, they have actually paid and gone through. So, we need to be hitting upwards of like 12 to 15, I would say, a month in actual written. But if I'm not writing one a month, I can't send an example. And I try to do more than that. But my biggest focus right now is prospecting for commercial. I'm really trying to find, some different commercial aspects for farmers. It's one of my biggest opportunities as an agent in general. So I'm trying to familiarize myself with all the underwriting rules and everything. But if I can't find one life insurance policy a month, how can I ask any of my staff to do that? Like, I just can't, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's personal network, whether that's, commercial clients that I find, if it's prospects in my book that my staff aren't going to sell to, I'll do whatever I can to find my one policy a month. at least written. If I can't get it issued, then it could be a multitude of things. But for me, it's solely about the so I have like I'll actually kind of show you guys. I have like this breakdown of hour by hour where I'm doing different things. And each week I've got hours broken out of like I'm prospecting for commercial here, I'm prospecting for life insurance here. I've got I'm part of the local Rotary Club, so I got a Rotary meeting every week that I go to. Cole Collar gave us these ideas about doing marketing for mortgage lenders. So calling mortgage lenders, I got a call block for that. All these different things to try and generate business for my agency on top of improving my SEO. So a lot of different things that I'm doing, but I have carved out time each week to find that one policy I need to do. So
Heck yeah, dude.
Oh gosh, it sounds so boring, but there is nothing sexier than a time block. I mean, it really isn't, because for me, I have an undisciplined mind. It will go off in 1,000 different directions. So if I look at the calendar, I mean, if you were to look at Michael and I's calendar, it is like down to the minute of we're going to eat at this time. This is what we're focused on. This is what we're prospecting to. So I love that, because if not, you in the day and you're like, what did I do today? Like, why am I even showing up? I'm just busy.
Yeah, it's definitely the important piece for me. Honestly, I learned a time block probably about a year ago, and it's just been a process. Like, it's never perfect, but I'm just like you. I have a 12:30 reminder. Hey, eat lunch. Like, don't forget to do that. Like, it's just I break it down to the most simple things. So.
If eating's not on the calendar, it's not happening. All right, like if
Correct.
that's pure. I mean, that's with everything though. Is if it's not, my belief is if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't get done. And I know that, like, obviously we met each other about 6 or 7 months ago when I came and spoke to you guys. And that's one thing that I speak on in every single workshop, and something I'm very passionate about, because that one little tweak, I've watched it make a huge difference in our lives. I've watched it make a huge difference in a lot of team members and agency owners' lives. And so just that one little thing, like if you can control your day, because in insurance, and you say this all the time, it's like playing whack-a-mole, man. Like if you aren't doing the things that are going to actually move the needle in your career, in your business, in your day, you get to the end of every day. And I was like this for so much of my career, where I felt, man, I was really busy today, but what did I actually accomplish? Like, what did I do? And so I'm just a huge proponent of that. I love that you've got that. It looks like it's right there on your desk to where you see it every single day, which we're huge proponents of. We always are encouraging people, put sticky notes on your computer.
Visual cues.
Where you're at, where you just see it every day as a reminder.
That's our first, from a habit standpoint, we're visual creatures. So most of our brain energy goes to looking at visual cues. So if you have it in front of you, you can actually see that. And to like the bigger point of, it takes out that first initial hurdle of creating. Like, what do I have to actually do today? When you have it all listed out in a time block, it removes that. So then all you have to tell yourself is, I just have to show up and do the thing. So you already have that huge hurdle out of the way. Then it's just executing. Now all you have to do is just show up and do what the calendar says. Do it to the best of your ability, and then keep doing it over and over again.
I'm super pumped today, and I want to kind of get started with mindset and talking about, because so many of us, I know at least myself, I don't want to portray this onto anybody else, but so many times we have our own self-limiting beliefs. And so you've pushed through some of your own barriers. You work with agency owners every day to help them push through some of their barriers. So I would like to just open the conversation with the importance of thinking bigger.
Yeah. For me, it's, I used to think small, and I'd say small even relative to what I think now. And when it comes down to it, really, you got to look at what's been accomplished, what you think can be accomplished. And like we were just talking about before we started this, like I look at the law of attraction and the ability to really attract that goal. Whatever you write down and whatever you can see happening with that clarity, it's going to happen as long as you're putting in the work and doing the right things. But you want that bad enough, you have that clear picture in your mind, it's going to happen. And going back to it too, it's protecting that, making sure that goal isn't detrimented by a negative force. And usually it's ourselves, right? Like we're probably the number one cause of all our failures. And that's saying something.
Absolutely. So we've visited about a funny story a few times, and it's the $12,000 producer. I would love to talk through your experience when you experienced that for the first time, and then what they're now doing today and what producers are doing in your area today.
Yeah, to give some background on this, so I came from I call it the land of giants with Matt Wolk and Mark Lee, who are farmers royalty, in my opinion. They're just great people, great leaders, great, like two greatest district managers. I have to live up to their name, right? So I look at that, and I've seen producers that do 30, 40, 50, 60 on up, right? And when I came to Minnesota, there was a kind of a limiting belief of like, if somebody came up in one of our first meetings and said, well, you got to stop talking about producers. They can only do 12,000. We can't build an agency off of that. And I'm like, is there a law up here? Is there like a rule that you can't write more than 12? And so found out pretty quick, no, it's just that's the belief that was held, and really broke that down into no, okay, we're either not holding them accountable or we're not giving them the systems, right? And that had so many other conversations that went into it, where I had a lot of hardworking individuals on my team. I don't know that I had great business owners just yet, because they were never taught to be business owners. And that was a cool experience for me, because I really had hardworking people that were willing to put in the work and learn how to do it, but they didn't necessarily ever. It's like, okay, I hire an employee. What do I do now?
Yep. And that story's it's interesting because it reminds me of the old saying, like, birds of a feather flock together. And if you are part of a territory or part of a friends group, part of a peer group, in this example, well, all of my peers, we can only do 10 to 12,000 a month every month. Like that's it. Like no matter how hard we work, no matter what we do, that's it. It's 12,000 in premium a month. Whereas when you got up there, you started a culture change. You started to, hey, show what's actually capable. And sometimes it takes people showing, hey, this is actually doable. This is actually capable for someone to actually be able to believe it themselves. I believe that anyways.
Yeah, if that's the negative belief that you are stuck on, and if you don't have physical proof. So if you're trying to reach for something and there isn't physical proof yet, you're only going to bring the evidence that you have, which is, I haven't done this. I've never seen this done before. It's not possible. We talk about Roger Bannister a lot because it wasn't done. The 4-minute mile wasn't done until 1952. And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, it's happening and it continues. Now a 4-minute mile is done by high school students. So sometimes all it takes is one really wild, crazy person to say, how big can we make this and how far can we go? If not, I mean, would we even be here, right? I mean, like our ancestors took these risks, and I mean, like this risk is part of it, but you do have to have some kind of, I think, when you're starting something new, physical proof of somebody. I call those expanders, somebody who's already done the thing that I want to do that can show me, okay, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Well, and I would say along those lines too, right? I love the Roger Bannister, because you got to imagine he was timing every lap and having those conditions set up for that person. I really love that we're in that spot where we kind of get to see the Roger Bannisters up here, really break the barriers of what's happening and setting up that perfect conditions. Hey, do you have enough quotes? Do you have enough leads? Do you have enough people? That was a big thing for a while, right? And we're getting there. So it's just that nice, perfect storm of putting in the conditions so that 4-minute mile, that hopefully the 3-minute mile happens faster.
Well, and it's not only that, I think, of those the individuals you're associating with, but also your own fears, like your fear of failure, your fear of success. I mean, that's why we have so many great guests on the Buzz. I mean, you have agency owners with teams of 20, 30, 40 people that are doing 500 to $1 million a month in premium, but then you also have teams of 6 people doing $500,000 in premium a month. And so sometimes I feel like when we start to say these big goals or these big dreams, not only are we maybe afraid of what others may say, like, oh, you're crazy, that can't be done, but it also is our own fear coming through of, oh man, if I say this and I don't accomplish it, I'm going to be a loser. Like I'm going to let myself down. I'm going to let myself down. I'm going to let my family down. Or if I achieve this success, do I really want what comes with success?
Yeah, that's so true. And I see that many times too. Like you're talking about who you hang around with, because I look at people that have done things before usually, and I try to grasp, okay, what can I do better from them? And when you're in a position where somebody hasn't done something before, who do you go to, right? And it's almost just taking in what conditions have to be right for this and picking out the people that have those conditions. Who has the best training? Who has the best marketing? Who has like you're saying, there's people that have 5 to 7 producers that are selling 500,000 premium. How are they doing it? They have really great producers, great systems and everything. There's other people that have 20 to 50, and that's more of a volume based on people. So it's figuring out which formula works for you. And I'm a big formulas guy. I don't know about you guys, but I love insurance in that fact that it's very formulaic. So it's a lot of plug and chug. You usually know on your equation where in the funnel, hey, this is where it's going wrong or going right. Let's turn out the volume.
I want to hit on something because a lot of times when we're talking about who to follow or who to take advice from, the internet is a wonderful place because now we have access to so many different voices and opinions and how things are done. My only caution with that, to the very first thing that you said, you have clarity in your goal. Sometimes too many voices and too many directions create confusion. And when we are sitting at the crux of making a decision, if we are confused and we don't know which way to go, we'll make the indecision action, which is we won't do anything. So I think that the internet is a wonderful place to go. I would pick an expander that has done the thing that you want to do in the model that you want to do it. Because there's a lot of times where, to your point, Keith, and I know you know this too, where you'll have an agent who has 30 team members, 30 staff, and they're churning and burning. And then you talk to somebody who doesn't want a team that big. It's like, find the people that have success and have done it in a similar, they won't be exactly the same, but done it in a similar way that you want to do it, and take their advice. Because if you start mixing all of the voices, then you won't have clarity. And if you don't have clarity, you can't take a step. Clarity is the first thing that you need for any goal. You need to know where you're going. You need to know what direction you're taking. It doesn't matter speed. It needs direction is first. So I want to make sure and emphasize that.
I love that. That's 100%. Like that, and I'm sure I know you guys are big readers just from us talking, but starting with why. Like what fuels that because usually the why helps you gain clarity, right? You really focus in on like, hey, I'm trying to get a certain amount of premium, or I'm trying to get a certain amount. Well, what does that give you? What does that free you up? Because your agency should not be your identity. It shouldn't be like your end all be all, but it should be a means to give your life that much more.
And go where you're good. If you don't know what your why is, we talk about this a lot. Focus on what you're good at. Chase your talent. Don't chase your passion. Chase what you're really good at. Because when you start doing things where you win, you continue to do them. They feel good. You get that instant dopamine. You're like, okay, I'm going to continue this behavior. So I could talk about this all day.
Following your why and your passion. I get pretty passionate about that topic, so I'm not going to go off on a rant here, but I do want to bring something up that you just said. Because I believe that also when you learn from others that have done what you want to do in a similar fashion, they're going to be 10 to 15 years ahead of you, typically, maybe 5, maybe just a couple. But so just remember to put yourself in that situation, and maybe just because maybe they're spending $10,000 a month on marketing and you're like, well, I don't have $10,000 a month. So what am I going to, how much do you have? Do you have 1,000? Do you have 2,000? Like, what do you have that you can start to move the needle? Because what you said, inaction isn't going to get you anywhere.
Oh, whew. I mean, we ate every single meal together, working 14-hour days for the first few years of our marriage. That was how.
You better add a couple hours of that. But be obsessed or be average, and average sucks, man. So you got to be obsessed. Success takes time.
Yeah, it does.
You have to be patient with the processes. You have to be patient with time. So many times us as humans, we overestimate what we can. I just read this quote the other day. We overestimate what we can get done in a year, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in 5 years. And it's so true, specifically in the sales world. Doesn't matter if you're the agency owner or just sales producer in the agency. Like, it takes time to build your funnel. It takes time to build a business. It takes time to lay the foundational processes and systems for your career. But if you are willing to put in the action, work probably longer hours than you were anticipating, be willing to make some sacrifices along the way, success in this career specifically in general produces more millionaires than any other career in the world. You can be a millionaire too if you're willing to do the groundwork and what it takes to accomplish the balance that you want in your life. Balance just doesn't happen. And if it does, you're probably not going to be making the money that you want for that type of balance in my experience. And there's seasons of life, and we could talk about that. We don't have to go into that, but for the position you're hiring, agency owners, man, this is a commitment. And so I would put it back to sports. Were you just showing up to like practice and then going home and not doing anything? And if you did, were you on the bench or were you on the field? Because everybody that I knew was on the field. They were at practice before, they were in the weight room, they were putting in extra time, they were watching video, they were talking to their coaches, they were trying to get better. You either had to earn your spot or you lost your spot. And it's the same thing with life.
You're talking about dedication and commitment.
Whatever we want.
Count yourself in.
Whatever we want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this. This has been such a great interview. Oh my gosh, Keith.